So the Nothing Phone 4a Pro. Is this just another phone hitting the market, or is it actually proof that its founder made an absolutely brilliant move, leaving a giant like OnePlus to start all over again? Let's dig in and figure it out. Okay, so to really get the picture here, you have to remember the backstory. We're talking about the founder and CEO of Nothing, just walking away from the safety and pretty much endless resources of a huge company like OnePlus to do his own thing. At the time, it just seemed like a massive, kind of crazy gamble. But fast forward to today, especially with all these rumors swirling that OnePlus might be scaling back its global operations, and that crazy gamble, well, suddenly it's starting to look incredibly smart. And this phone, the 4a Pro, is a really big piece of that story.
So, what is this phone exactly? It's not a flagship, that's for sure, but it's also not part of Nothing's super budget CMF brand. The source we're digging into today came up with this amazing acronym for it, BBL.
Yep, you heard that right. Better budget lifestyle. This phone is aimed squarely at someone who wants more than just the basics, but doesn't feel the need to shell out for a top-of-the-line flagship. It's really trying to hit that sweet spot of feeling premium without the premium price tag. All right, let's get into performance, because this is where things start to get really interesting and honestly a little confusing if you just take a quick peek at the spec sheet. Think about it. If you saw that the regular non-Pro version of this phone has a Snapdragon 7S Gen 4 chip, and this Pro model has the Snapdragon 7 Gen 4, you might scratch your head and ask, wait a second, did they actually downgrade the processor for the Pro model? And right here, this is the perfect example of a modern tech headache. Confusing names. No, that S does not stand for speed. In Qualcomm's universe, it apparently stands for slower. The Phone 4a Pro, thankfully, has the non-S version. It's clocked higher, and this is the big one for gaming, it has a much, much better GPU. So, bottom line, it is a major upgrade. Now, that beefier GPU is powering a really nice high refresh rate display that Nothing claims can hit an absolutely jaw-dropping 5,000 nits of peak brightness. But as you can probably guess from that little asterisk, there's a catch. And oh boy, what a catch it is. To actually see that 5,000 nit number, you have to be looking at a very specific test file that Nothing gives you, and you have to be holding the phone in portrait mode. In the real world, you're going to be looking at something more like 1,500 nits. But here's the thing. While it's definitely a bit of marketing fluff, it doesn't really change the fact that for day-to-day use, this is a fantastic display. For most of us, it's still probably going to be one of the best screens we own. You can't talk about a Nothing phone without talking about the lights on the back. It's their whole thing, right? The Glyph interface. But the question that always comes up is it actually useful, or is it just a gimmick for show? Well, this new version, the Glyph Matrix, uses 137 tiny little LEDs and actually has some pretty clever uses. You can set up custom light patterns for certain contacts, you can see a progress bar for your U-bar coming to get you, use it as a timer, or just check your battery status. It even has this cool little recording indicator light. But the Glyphs aren't the only unique thing going on here. There's a new dedicated button they're calling the Essential Key. You press it, and boom, you're in this space where you can quickly mark up a screenshot or record a voice memo. And then it uses AI to transcribe or summarize those notes and can even pop them right into your Google Calendar. Pretty neat.
Okay, let's talk cameras. Now, like a lot of phones in this whole better budget space, the camera story is, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
So let's break it down. You get a really solid 50-megapixel main camera and a very capable 50-megapixel telephoto lens with optical image stabilization, which is great to see. But then you get to the ultra-wide. Nothing doesn't even list the spec for it on their own site. Other people say it's an 8-megapixel sensor, which is, an interesting choice to be so quiet about. Specs are one thing, right? But how does this all actually feel when you're using it every day? Let's talk about the real-world experience, beyond the numbers. When you put this phone head-to-head with its biggest rival, like a Google Pixel, you start to see the trade-offs really clearly. Nothing's only promising 3 years of software updates versus Google's 7, and there's no wireless charging. But look at that last row about performance. That is where Nothing is playing its ace. And this is the absolute secret sauce when it comes to performance. See, while some big-name flagship phones might get higher scores on a benchmark test, they often get hot and slow down after just 10 or 20 minutes of intense gaming. This phone, it doesn't. Thanks to a really good vapor chamber cooling system, it just delivers consistent, stable performance for way longer, which is what actually matters when you're in the middle of a game.
And, there are all these other little things that just make the experience better. The build quality feels super solid, almost iPhone-like. The speakers are surprisingly loud and clear. The fingerprint sensor is fast. Oh, and they even throw a case and a screen protector right in the box. That's a fantastic touch these days. So let's wrap this all up. We've looked at the specs, the weird features, and how it actually performs day to day. It's time for the final verdict. Is this phone and Nothing's whole strategy really a smart move?
Okay, on one hand, you've got this totally unique design, that awesome sustained performance for gaming, a really great screen, and some genuinely useful stuff like the Essential Key. But on the other hand, you're giving up years of software support, there's no wireless charging, and you have to put up with some marketing shenanigans and a so-so camera.
But maybe the biggest question mark here is strategic. When Nothing builds a really cool proprietary feature like the Essential app, they're asking you to put your notes, your workflow, your stuff into their system. But what happens when you buy your next phone and it's not a Nothing phone? That lack of continuity is a huge hurdle when you're not Apple or Google. And really, that's the ultimate question this phone asks. Nothing is betting that by giving you a truly different design and focusing on practical, consistent performance, they can carve out their own little space in the market. But is that unique experience really compelling enough to convince people to step outside of the powerful, comfortable